Hey everybody, this video brings us out to Kissimmee, Florida. And the reason why we are out here today is because I want to show you guys something interesting. This is something I found out about a couple of weeks ago. I was doing some research on the area, trying to find some roadside attractions, trying to find something fun and historical, looking up some haunted places, and this place kept coming up in all of my searches, so I knew I had to come out here and check this out. We are here at the old Shingle Creek Cemetery. Look at this 1800s cemetery, and supposedly one of the most haunted cemeteries. As I say that, the cicadas start making quite a racket. Did you hear that? Supposedly one of the most haunted cemeteries in all of Florida. The rumor is supposedly there is a Confederate soldier who haunts these grounds, and if you come out here at night, you will see him. And you will supposedly also hear noises, things like talking. I've heard rumors of supposed horse noises, horse galloping, if you will, out here. So supposedly a Confederate soldier haunts this cemetery, possibly riding upon his horse. And if you come out here at night, supposedly you will run into him. But I wanted to come out here. I wanted to check this out, not necessarily at night. Come out here during the day, document this, take a look at this. I want to take a look at this really cool, awesome old cemetery. I love old cemeteries, as you guys know. Love visiting these, love the history of these, love reading all the different names that are out here, remembering the people who are buried in these cemeteries. So I wanted to come out here and see the cemetery just for that reason alone, but also due to the fact that it's apparently haunted and supposedly one of Central Florida's most haunted cemeteries. So as the sign says, Shingle Creek. The Shingle Creek community was once a frontier, with the first settlers arriving around 1860. Henry Overstreet deeded land for a church and cemetery. A permanent church site was established in 1865. The creation of a place of worship became the foundation of the growing population. At that time, Shingle Creek was still in Orange County until Osceola County was formed in 1887. The Midland Railroad ran from Kissimmee to Apopka, with a depot in Shingle Creek for passengers and for transporting citrus. Florida's most productive fruit packing house in the late 1800s to early 1900s was in Shingle Creek. That's interesting. The county's first post office was a Pony Express stop in Shingle Creek. The post office was combined with a general store. A nearby school was also established to provide education for the community's children. Shingle Creek also fielded a baseball team that traveled around the state representing their community. Interesting. So this is a little map here of the original Shingle Creek settlement. There's Shingle Creek right there. There's the Midland Railroad. You can see all the old houses. I wonder if some of these houses are still there. Very interesting. So that is the old Shingle Creek settlement, the old Shingle Creek community that once used to be in this area that is now part of Kissimmee, if I'm not mistaken. And right here is the old Shingle Creek Cemetery that we're gonna walk around. We're gonna explore. This is pretty cool. Again, I love old cemeteries. 1800s cemetery, probably one of Florida's oldest cemeteries. And again, supposedly one of its most haunted. Although before we do walk around the cemetery, I wanna come over here quick because there is another plaque over here. This one says Shingle Creek. This monument is dedicated to Henry C. Overstreet, who gave this land for the cemetery and the adjoining land for a school and a church in the year 1865. The Shingle Creek Cemetery is the oldest cemetery in Osceola County. So there you go, the oldest cemetery in Osceola County. May God bless all the pioneer families and their descendants who are resting here. This was put up in 2011. That is cool. Had to check that out as well. See, there's an old flag back there, not looking so good. All right, we're gonna explore the cemetery now and see who's buried out here. Check out the graves. This is pretty cool. I kind of wish I would have known that the flag here was not looking so hot. I have an old flag at home that is a little weathered itself, but it's not falling apart. It's just a little faded. And I was gonna take that flag and actually take it to a like a VFW or something like that and put it into one of their deposit boxes that they then discard. They they do a ceremony and discard of old flags. But in this case, I feel like what I should have done was taken that flag and replaced it. Put my old discarded flag that, yes, maybe faded and worn from the weather, but not falling apart. Put it up there, and then taken this flag, and that I could have taken to a VFW. Wish I would have known that. Maybe I'll have to come back and switch out the flags, because again, that one's not looking too good anymore. So I do believe this is still an active cemetery. Lots of old graves dating back to the 1800s, kind of over there, and I guess maybe possibly over here as well. But then you can see there's some newer graves here. These people passed away in 1984. Oh, that's so sad. A 14-month-old passing away. September 3rd, 1983. November 7th, 1984. People have left cars out here for him, a little angel, some praying hands. There's a football out here. You can see there's a birdhouse that has been placed out here with an American flag that is actually in really good condition. So somebody's still coming out here and sprucing up this area, sprucing up these graves here. This flag looks very, very new. This has to have just been put out here somewhat recently due to the fact that we're, under these trees, and you see there's really no weathering or anything on this flag. That's definitely a newer flag there. It looks like the last grave here was 2015. So you can see some of these graves are somewhat newer graves, but again, there are some very old graves out here, like these here, for instance. I can't even read what these ones here say. I don't know if they're actually part of the Bowen family, maybe 1849 to 1944. So these might be part of the Bowen family. This might be a burial plot here. I don't actually know that. 2022. So again, still an active cemetery. People are still being buried out here, which is interesting that you can still be buried in one of the oldest cemeteries in all of Florida. That is pretty cool that you can still do that. So again, new graves amongst some very, very old graves. I love the old wrought iron fence here. That is really cool with the crosses on them. So this is a family plot for the, looks like the Taylors. Brian J. Taylor Jr. and Anna Bell. She's not gone, she's just away. He's not gone, he's just away. And their infant daughter, see, that's also pretty sad. Infant daughter of BJ and Anna Bell Taylor, January 19th, 1935. A little bud of the love to bloom with God above. So there you go. That is pretty sad. I guess the child unfortunately must have died during childbirth. That is pretty sad, but really interesting family plot out here. Again, I love the old fence. There's only a little bit of it left. It's not all here anymore, but that is really, really cool. So there are definitely Confederate soldiers buried out here, which does help lead to the stories of this cemetery being haunted by a Confederate soldier. You can see there's a Confederate battle flag right here. This is the grave of S. Peter Bronson, Confederate States of America, November 7th, 1863. Here's a Confederate States of America seal, again with the Confederate battle flag right there. Another flag right here. Then over here, there's another Confederate battle flag, another Confederate States of America seal. I guess this would be the grave of William R. Johnston? I believe that says 1844 to 1909 is what that says. Another, you can see there's another seal, Confederate States of America seal right there. So another Confederate soldier buried right here next to, I believe, his wife. Say Julia A. Johnston. So again, definitely Confederate soldiers buried out here in this cemetery, which, like I said, helps lead to the stories of this cemetery being haunted by a Confederate soldier. Is it one of these soldiers? I have no idea. I don't believe there's actually a name to go along with the stories, or at least from what I've heard, there's no name to go along with the stories. But my assumption is, if it is haunted by at least one Confederate soldier, it would be one of these soldiers, right? Or maybe possibly it's haunted by multiple Confederate soldiers. Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of soldiers buried out here. This is Stephen Johnson, passed away in 1915. There's another one over here. This is Joseph N. Smith, passed away in 1920. George Washington Bronson, buried here again, Confederate States of America, 1842 to 1910. And then Henry McLaughlin, is that what that says? It's hard, that's really difficult to read. Another Confederate soldier buried right here. I'm seeing another one back there. There are definitely a lot of Confederate soldiers buried in this cemetery. Definitely different than up north, which I'm used to. I'm used to the Yankees being buried in all the cemeteries up there. Interesting to come down south and come into these old cemeteries, and instead of seeing a whole bunch of American flags and a whole bunch of Union soldiers buried within the cemeteries, you come down here and you see a whole bunch of Confederate battle flags and Confederate soldiers buried in this cemetery. Definitely, I mean, it's the same, but at the same time, kind of different. This is the family plot of the Prescotts. As you can see, they actually have an obelisk in the middle of their plot, which is pretty awesome. Jefferson D. and Matchless, is that the name? Matchless, Matchless. I've never heard that name before. So Jefferson D. and Matchless B. Prescott, buried right here with a really cool obelisk. And then behind it, I believe this is still maybe possibly, I don't know if this is still part of the, no, this is actually a different family here. This is maybe the Matthews. So maybe the Prescott family plot and the Matthews family plot butt up right next to each other. So this is Henry A. Matthews, born 1842, passed away in 1922. Another Confederate States of America soldier. That's interesting. This little plaque here is a little bit different than the other ones. That is pretty interesting. Also with a Confederate battle flag here as well. These have seen some better days. Somebody needs to come out here and replace all these flags, replace the American flag. All these flags need a good tune-up. Another Confederate soldier here, Robert L. Does that say Ivy? I-V-E-Y, I believe that says. And William H. Ivy back here. Again, more Confederate soldiers buried back here. I'm seeing flags. Like there's another flag over there as well. So lots of Confederate soldiers buried out here, which, like I said, does lead to the stories of this cemetery being haunted by a Confederate soldier, perhaps maybe one of these Confederate soldiers. I can assume that at night, this cemetery probably is kind of creepy looking. I would think that if I was out here at night, I'd be a little creeped out. I mean, we are not too far off from civilization. You can see hotels and stuff right over there. There's 192 right over there, but still, I think at night, walking around here, this would be kind of creepy. Zombies? It looks like this here was once the wall, or the fence, that went around the grave of Robert, does it say Alvy or Alver? I have no idea. A-L-V-V, A-L-V-Y, A-L-Y-Y, A-L-W. I'm not entirely sure what that says. Very difficult to read. I think maybe that says 1892, and I honestly cannot read the rest of that. But as you can see, this here would have been the front of his grave. This part has fallen down, but pretty interesting, very ornate, like fence and wall that went around his grave at one point. That's pretty cool. I would assume maybe this family maybe had some money, or maybe Robert had some money that was put away to be put into his gravesite. Unfortunately, time has not been so kind. It has all fallen down. It is broken apart. It's been discarded off to the side. But at one point, this grave was probably pretty, just really unique looking, really ornate looking. Probably really cool to see it back in the day with the wall around it. But unfortunately, like I said, everything is now fallen down. This looks like to be a new plaque here that says wife of Confederate veteran, marker presented by the United Daughters of the Confederacy. This is the grave of Adelia Josephine, wife of Alfred Iverson, daughter of Dr. Joel and Emily Bronham, if I'm saying that right, of Eaton, Georgia, May 9th, 1883 to February 6th, 1904. So the wife of a Confederate soldier. She also has, like, again, a little plaque out here. I believe at one point a Confederate battle flag was also at her grave as well. I've never seen anything like that. Never seen a plaque for the wife of a veteran. That's pretty cool. I did not know they did stuff like that. Whew, fair warning, if you do come out here, maybe don't do it in the middle of the summer. It is extremely warm out right now. I am sweating like a pig. I'm trying to get some shade from this, I believe, southern oak right now with all the Spanish moss hanging off it, which definitely adds to the creepy ambiance, but it is extremely warm out here. Also, this entire cemetery is pretty much one giant ant bed, and if you stand still for too long, those ants like to crawl up your shoes and start nibbling at your ankles. So just be warned, if you come out here, you may get eaten alive. I'd recommend maybe coming out during the winter months when it's a little bit cooler and maybe the ant population isn't so active. I saw this grave off in the distance. Always sad to see a lamb in a cemetery, but what's interesting is this is the infant children of H. L. Branton and T.S. Clarkson. So not the grave of one child, but the grave of multiple children. My assumption would be these are infants who did die during childbirth, probably back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when having twins or triplets or something like that was much, much more difficult than it is nowadays. So that would be my guess, probably twins, probably triplets, something like that, who unfortunately did pass away during childbirth. But that's something you see too often. Usually when there's a lamb, it's the grave of one child, but in this case, it's the grave of multiple children. So right behind this grave is what I thought was another burial plot of a Confederate soldier, but after reading the headstone here, this says Wilbur L. Bronson, and then says World War II. So not a Confederate soldier, even though he does have a Confederate battle flag behind him. So maybe he's a family member of a Confederate soldier. Maybe he has Confederate soldiers who were in his family. I'm not entirely sure about that, but a World War II veteran with a Confederate battle flag behind him. Not sure what that represents or what that means. If you guys know, leave your comments down below. But as you can see, not just Confederate soldiers out here, World War II and maybe even, I don't know, possibly World War I and other soldiers buried out here as well. Or maybe this is just what they do down here in the South. They put Confederate battle flags with any veteran. Up north, a World War II soldier would definitely have an American flag hanging around him or placed behind him. Here, maybe it's a Confederate battle flag they put out here. Again, it's the South. They do things a little bit differently down here. So what do you guys think? Does it work? And no. All right, the cemetery just got 10 times more awesome because I love finding these in cemeteries. We have a zinky, a headstone not made of stone, not made of marble, not made of granite, made of zinc. That is a zinky right there. There are literally people who go around from cemetery to cemetery to cemetery just to find these and to document these. That is really, really cool. I love finding zinkies when I'm out at cemeteries. This is the resting place here of Chaz F. Pravat and Sarah Alice Pravat. Looks like they passed away in the early 1900s. That is cool, a zinky right there. Again, not made of stone, not a headstone made of stone, a headstone made of zinc. So a head zinc. So when you first walk into the cemetery, you will see the graves of the Bronson family here. In fact, there's a lot of Bronsons buried out here. Lots of Bronsons, lots of Overstreets, lots of Yates, and so on and so forth. From what I was reading, these are the ancestors of families who are definitely still very prominent in the area. There are still a lot of Bronsons and Overstreets and Yates and so forth in the area. These are the ancestors of a lot of people who still live in this area. But behind the Bronsons, you will find yet another Confederate soldier buried out here. This being the soldier of Stuart T. Tyner. You can see the headstone here says S.T. Tyner, born February 20th, 1840. Though what's interesting is they never carved his date of death in there, but it does say he passed away on September 5th, 1917. Buried next to his wife, Martha Tyner, born 1844, passed away 1916. Father and mother. There's another Confederate States Army plaque there with a Confederate battle flag. I'm going to assume that this is the grave of Stuart, and this is the grave of Martha. I would assume very old graves, early 1900s graves right here. And yet another Confederate soldier buried next to his wife out here. I just came upon these two graves here, and I have to say that out of all the graves I've seen thus far, these are by far the most interesting. I really wish I knew the story behind these because they do kind of look DIY. This is just concrete that's been carved into. You can see there's a heart carved there, a heart carved there, but they are kind of intricate in the fact that there was obviously some kind of vase right there, a vase right there. Looks like maybe an area for like a candle right there, and an area for, I'm guessing, maybe like a planter for flowers there. And then the actual headstones are definitely DIY, definitely just concrete that has been carved into. This is Bertha Bell Lewis, who passed away on May 1st, 1963. Gone, but not forgotten. And this is the grave of, looks like Grace E. Powell, who passed away on April 25th, 1946. Safe in the arms, I think it says safe in the arms of Jesus, is what that says. But again, very DIY. That's just concrete that's been like carved into. That is really cool. Like you would carve your name into wet cement on a sidewalk. Same idea. This is something I haven't seen really anywhere before. That is really cool. Kind of like sort of, again, DIY, but also at the same time, very like intricate and very like detailed graves. These are cool. There's even markers in the front as well that are definitely DIY also. So I really do wonder what the story behind these two graves are. They have different names, so I don't know if there's any relation, or maybe they were just friends, or maybe passed away together. There's got to be some kind of story behind these two graves, and why the headstones are done the way they're done, why the graves are done the way they're done, and why they're buried next to each other. I really do wonder about that. All right, guys, so I do think that is just about going to do it for the Shingle Creek Cemetery. Not only Osceola County's oldest cemetery, but one of Florida's oldest cemeteries, and supposedly one of Florida's most haunted cemeteries. If you do come out here in the middle of the night, you may possibly meet the ghost, the spirit of a Confederate soldier who does supposedly haunt this cemetery. And if you're quiet, you might hear the galloping of Confederate soldier horses out here as well. So come out here in the middle of the night if you dare. Be respectful to all the graves out here and to the soldiers who are buried out here as well. But see if you can stumble upon a ghost, or maybe you can possibly hear the galloping of horses out here. If you've ever done that, leave your comments down below. I want to hear from you guys. But yeah, we're definitely done here because, again, I am sweating. It is disgusting. It is very, very warm out today. I've been trying to hide under these trees as much as I possibly can throughout the filming of this video because it is just brutally, ridiculously hot. And on top of that, again, this whole place is one giant ant bed, and they're continuously crawling up my legs and continuously nibbling away at me. I'm constantly scratching and itching at my legs and flicking ants off me. It is a heck of a lot of fun, but I love it. It's an old 1800s cemetery, haunted cemetery, Confederate soldiers buried out here, a zinky right over there. If you are a fan of old cemeteries, this is definitely one you have to come out and check out. This place is too cool. It is too awesome. If you're a fan of cemeteries, this is one definitely to come visit and pay your respects at. Again, there's a Zinky out here. And lots of airplanes constantly flying overhead. We're not too far away from an airport. I believe the main Orlando airport is over there. I think maybe there's a smaller airport around here somewhere as well where smaller planes are taking off. But anyway, come out here, check this place out. Pretty awesome, pretty amazing old cemetery. But all right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. So as always, thank you all so much for checking out this video. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check down below for links to Patreon. If you guys do become a patron, I will send you a postcard every single month from the road. Also check down below for a link to Spreadshirt, where you can grab yourself retro rest stop t-shirts. Also hit that join button and become a member of this channel. All that stuff helps support the show. It keeps the show going. So I really do appreciate it. Brings us out to awesome and amazing places like the Shingle Creek Cemetery, the haunted Shingle Creek Cemetery. So your support is definitely appreciated. And if you guys watch this video all the way until the very end, hashtag Confederate spirits. There we go. We won't say ghosts. We'll just say Confederate spirits. If you guys watch this video all the way to the very end, and like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you do hit that subscribe button or you are subscribed, then I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys. Bye. Ghosts?